Benvenuti a Milano. This is the transfer show, international style. Just a few days after the most dramatic transfer window closed, we're going to reflect on what happened, what didn't, and of course, what's to come. I'm joining myself, Kaveh Solokol and Melissa Reddy, Sky Germany's transfer gurus, Mark Berenbeck and Florian Plettenberg. But we couldn't come to Italy and Milan without seeing the main man himself, Mr. Gianluca Di Marzio.
Amico mio, how are you, my friend? Welcome to Italy, eh?
Ciao. This is the international transfer show. Here's what's coming up.
In Italy we have a song, soldi, soldi. When you have money, you can buy everything and everyone.
Harry Kane will become a very, very hot topic at Bayern Munich.
Pogba said no to Manchester City.
Chelsea paid, what, almost £100 million for him? And but they're going to lose all that money?
He thinks that he cannot win with Tottenham. He says no, okay.
Mane was the transformer for the Klopp era.
If I put Leao there, I can give you Ronaldo.
They don't want to pick up calls from Italy and Spain. They're just waiting for the calls from the Premier League.
If they arrive with 120 million euro for Osimhen, we can talk.
It will be Harry Kane. He's the #1 top target.
Manchester United tried to buy every player in the market.
Sorry, Spurs fans.
Yeah, welcome along. So much to get through. Delighted to say Gianluca Di Marzio, Mark Berenbeck and Kaveh Solokol, hi there, join us. We are in a magnificent building, the Palazzo Giure Consulti.
Your Italian is amazing. It's amazing.
Thank you. I'll take that. I'll take that. It used to
Antonio
be
Conte did lessons to you? No?
No. It used to be a stock exchange, believe it or not, and as a seamless segue from stock exchange, let's talk money. Gianluca, when we last spoke in December, before the January transfer window, you were talking about the huge gap that existed between the Premier League and Italy and the rest of Europe.
Was I right? Yeah.
You were right, but were you even surprised how big the gap was in this summer?
Not even surprised, because if you spend 36 million euro for Scamacca, and in Italy, and West Ham spent this money, and in Italy, no big club, no top club thought to spend this money. Not spend, but thought to spend this money. That's the difference. Or if you spend for Damsgaard, Brentford for Damsgaard, 20 million euro, he's not playing with Sampdoria. So you can see the difference in these deals. Yeah.
Was it the same in Germany as well, Mark?
Yeah, the difference is huge. I mean, Premier League is the #1 league in the world, but on the other hand, it's not good for football in general because, I mean, Haaland, for example, he was one of the best strikers in Germany, one of the role models, and now he's leaving. But I love to watch the Premier League for sure.
Do you think now we have two different transfer markets? Like one for the Premier League and one for everyone else?
Yes, I think so. Bayern is something different because I think Bayern can compete with Manchester City or
like Deloitte.
Chelsea. Yes, if Bayern decides to buy the Ligt, they buy the Ligt for any price. But in Italy, if you see, the only deal without selling a player was Milan with the Catalar, and Milan had fighted with Leeds, not with Manchester United or Chelsea. If Manchester United, Chelsea or Liverpool, they wanted the Catalar, they got the Catalar. So I think now there are two kinds of transfers. But Bayern Munich can stay in Premier League transfer.
And what do people in Italy and Germany think about the power of the Premier League? Do you think it's getting too big now?
Yeah, they think it's getting too big, and I think at the moment every sporting director in Germany, they don't want to pick up calls from Italy and Spain. They're just waiting for the calls from the Premier League. And I mean, it's true with De Ligt, but Bayern Munich can't spend much money. On the other hand, what they did really good in this transfer window, they had a really emotional part of negotiation, and they tried to convince De Ligt since years. And this is not only the money that Bayern Munich spent, but also they want to pick the character, the emotion of the person.
There are some cases, no? Because, for example, Pogba said no to Manchester City, and he wanted to come to Italy. Romelu Lukaku, he had everything in Chelsea.
But he didn't work.
He didn't work, but he had everything in Chelsea, and he decided to come back to Inter. Origi, he was out of contract, but he could go everywhere in Premier League, and he decided to come to to Italy. Matic, he decided to come to Italy, had richest offer by Fulham, and he decided to go to Roma because, for example, in Roma there is Jose Mourinho that has the appeal as a Premier League club. So there are some little cases for us in this summer that we can see some little light.
I mean, Bayern Munich can compete. They can buy Sadio Mane, they can buy Deloitte, but all the challengers like Dortmund and Leipzig, they cannot buy players from other leagues. They have to buy German national players. This is what Leipzig did this window. For example, David Raum or Timo Werner, or Borussia Dortmund, Schlotterbeck, Süle, or Adeyemi. This is the German way of transfer window, getting the best national players.
What do you think of the prices that some Premier League clubs have paid for some players?
Doubled.
What's the European view? Do you look at the numbers and think this is crazy?
Too high.
Yeah.
Too high. Like with all the respect for Cucurella or players like that, but if we think that in Premier League you can spend 70 million, 80 million for a deal like that, in Italy is impossible. We think that 80 million can be the value of Leao, for example, not for other kind of players. No?
When you look back on this summer's transfer window, I know it's fresh in the memory still because only a few days since it closed, but were there any transfers that you look back on and you think, I was not expecting that, that was the biggest surprise of the window?
Lukaku. I couldn't expect it. After 1 year, after what Chelsea paid for him, was a fight with Inter to pay all that money that he could come back on loan. No, I didn't believe, but that was one of the case that the will of the players and probably the exchange in the club, because I think that with Marina, Granovskaya, probably Lukaku wouldn't come back in Inter and he stay in Chelsea, walking around Stamford Bridge or Cobham and not coming back on loan in Chelsea. Probably the situation of the club was favorite the deal.
What about the situation at Manchester United? We've seen they have a new manager, Erik ten Hag. He's come in and he has a lot of power when it comes to the transfers. He seems to pick the players that he wants. And Manchester United spent more than £200 million backing his judgment. In Germany or Italy, would you now have a situation where a manager could come
Jose
in
Mourinho
and say, I want this, I want that, you have to spend the money?
Not at all. That's not the German strategy. You can see it, like, for example, Nagelsmann at Bayern Munich. He can choose players, but Hasan Salihamidzic, the chief football officer, he's going to get the players. So there's a club strategy, and not only a coach strategy in general, actually in every club.
Another deal that surprised me, now that I think, was Casadei to Chelsea. Because when Chelsea and Inter were talking about Lukaku, I have to pay that money, the owner of Chelsea said, I want that guy, what's the name? Casa, and Marotta and Ausilio, the managers of Inter, they say, Casadei? Yes, Casadei, I want Casadei. So he wanted Casadei from the beginning of the Lukaku deal, because they knew that Casadei was the youngest starlet of Inter, and they spent 50 million euro for Casadei.
What we're wondering in Germany about is that the Premier League is really focused on the Premier League. Good example is Cucurella. A lot of money for a good player, and yeah, no doubt, but we've got two really good left backs in the Bundesliga, David Raum, Borna Sosa. They didn't change the team at all, and sometimes I think that the Premier League is not so focused on the Bundesliga, for example. They buy players from the Premier League right from the neighborhood. They do know the players better.
Inter and Atalanta wanted Borna Sosa in the last days.
Absolutely.
So how do you think Italian and German clubs can compete with the Premier League?
They have to be really creative. They have to get talents like Haaland from Salzburg. This is the way, making them big, and then we can sell them for big money to the Premier League.
Yes, and we have to be creative, as you said, finding the new Haaland. Like Atalanta, Atalanta was very, very good. They bought Højlund. He scored in one of the last matches, and Atalanta spent 17 million euro for 2003. from Sturm Graz.
Yeah, great talent.
And he is similar to Haaland. So the Italian clubs can compete if they find the new Haaland, the new Mbappé, because they cannot buy Haaland and Mbappé now. So they have to find the new.
Same in Germany. Šeško from Salzburg, Leipzig bought him, and he's not ready for the Premier League. So the rumors about Šeško going to Premier League, this wouldn't have been the right step for him. But now, going to Leipzig next summer, the perfect match for Leipzig and Šeško.
Gianluca, we saw, for instance, like in the 1980s, the Italian league had all the best players in the world. It was the most glamorous league in the world. Is there any way the Italian league or the German league could catch up the Premier League now? Is there any way the dominance of the Premier League will end or change, or is it just too far ahead now?
Scouting, finding the new Haaland, the new Mbappé, the new Salah. I think we have very good Italian managers. For example, Atalanta spent 70 million euro for Højlund. He's a Danish striker, both from Sturm Graz, and he's similar to Haaland. So you can sign the name Højlund because he will arrive in Premier League, I think, in 2 or 3 years. But Italian club, that's the way for Italian clubs. Finding these players and trying to build something new with young players and trying to build something that can compete in the future, not now with Premier League teams.
Just very, very quickly, before we go to the break, I want you to look into the future now, all three of you. What players will we be looking at in January and next summer?
Leao, if he doesn't renew the contract with AC Milan, I think Chelsea will try. Chelsea tried in the last days with Ziyech in the deal. Locatelli too. Do you know that Locatelli was a target of Manchester United? And Manchester United tried before Rabiot. They tried before Rabiot for Locatelli, but Juventus said no, and the player said no, I want to stay in Juventus.
What happened with Rabiot? What was the truth? Was it to do with money, or he just didn't want to go to Manchester United?
He wanted to play Champions League, and his mother, Veronique, is the agent of the player. She asked a lot of money, but
what I don't understand, he says he wants to play Champions League. How did the negotiations go that far? Because Manchester United didn't suddenly get into the Champions League.
Probably she said, okay, we are not so convinced to come, but if you give us this money, we come. And I think Manchester United said, no, we cannot give you the money you want. Yeah.
From the German perspective, Jude Bellingham for sure. Next year is the year for Dortmund to earn a lot of money with him. Joško Gvardiol, he has no pre-contract with any Premier League club. Christo Kunku from Leipzig as well. Patrick Schick, he's the best striker in the Bundesliga from Bayer Leverkusen. These are the targets for next summer.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for now. Don't go anywhere because we'll be back with you later in the show. But after the break, we'll be focusing on Germany and the Bundesliga. So much happened during that transfer window. They lost Robert Lewandowski. They lost Erling Haaland, but they got Sadio Mane. And if Bayern Munich have their way next summer, look out for Harry Kane. Stay tuned.